podcast with Chapel One, myself. We're in here last week. We're here now. We have why were we here last week? It was in part due to current situation in the United States, particularly with police violence directed at or affecting particularly black community. And to be honest, I myself was feeling a bit overwhelmed by the cascade of news and stuff like that. Of course, I'm not a point person for this, not by a long shot, but still, sometimes you just need a breather, right? And let the news take care of itself. I didn't feel that I wanted to feel very frivolous that day, in a couple of days coming in. So, but we're here back, and the situation hasn't magically disappeared. Just so you know, there's going to be some news about that. We'll start with news. But we're going to do something more video game related, and that is where we talked about this, like many of the subjects we talked about before. It's just one of those subjects that we talked about more or less, but now we're going to concentrate on this. And that is, have games gotten too big? That's why the title of the stream is, have they got too big, part 2. I was going to say electric boogaloo, but then I realized that last word, it's not a word I want to be using these days because of the situation, right? Damn people who take, dummy words like that and just screw with them and just make them toxic. And we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about video games. With new generation of hardware coming in fact, there might be announcement of new PlayStation 5 and already Xbox announced a new PS5 this weekend. And both machines are going to be running with SSDs, right? So the day of the low console hard drive, which never really bothered me too much, but I can see why people are bothered, is over. But there's a lot of things that are tied to that, which I think we're going to be talking about. But first, the news. Let's start with Kotaku, as we usually do. Let's talk about indie games. This is by Ethan Geist 51 minutes ago for file Crosscode. Kotaku says that the lovely indie JRPG Crosscode is finally coming to consoles on July 9th. That means that you, like I, have more waiting for the Switch version to finally dig in the game about playing MMOs. There's only one more to go. And that's it. I don't know if Crosscode, it says coming to consoles. I don't know if Crosscode is actually PC. Seems like a good idea. By the way, I've been experimenting with. Actually, yes, Crosscode is on Steam. I guess I have my new game once I finish.
Yeah, it came out. It came out like in 2005. It's the biggest trend I've noticed with a lot of these smaller games coming to not just the Switch, but like PlayStation 4. Is that these games were released like years ago on
2 years ago,
Steam.
2018. Yeah. I may give it a try. I'm not. This actually looks like something sci-fi-ish that I might want to try, and I'm trying to get into more JRPG, and this seems to be more of an action JRPG kind of thing. It might actually be a thing that I want to try. So, and I think also this kind of game that would be absolutely perfect on the Switch, for example, more than anything else. So, I just got myself my next game that I'm gonna stream. Yay! Thank you, Kotaku. Talking about JRPGs and similar games, this is again from Ethan Gach. New Twitter account lists games that let you dethrone God. That's a bit of a joke, but for people who might be wondering about that. Suddenly feeling a strong urge to rebel against the current divine order of things and destroy your creators. Some good internet Samaritan has taken upon themselves to create a running list of all the games in which you can fight God. I guess a God or the God. This is based on a reaction to a tweet, a screen grab from Fox News, who apparently, according to Fox News, the strategy of the Weather Underground, talk about being in the 1960s, about the 20s, is to destroy capitalism, the weapon of choice, systemic racism, police racism, identify the victim classes, organize the victim classes, engage the international solidarity with global movement, and last but not least, attack and dethrone God. Well, I guess if you want to attack and dethrone God, maybe you can try things like Persona 5, Breath of the Wild, Super 3D Noah's Ark.
You know,
and God of War, Final Fantasy VI, and so many others.
I'll tell you, it's Inferno.
Yeah, so I'm gonna put the list here, the link to the list. It's just funny. It's like, sure, I'm bored. I'm still in the quarantine. Let's dethrone God. That sounds like a plan. Just thought it was very fun. Also, there's not a lot of heavy news this week, so.
Yeah, that's something I've kind of found. I find that it's odd that out of everything that gets adapted into like video game stuff that doesn't have like any business getting adapted video games, I'm surprised we haven't had like some sort of decent like Bible adaptation of the video games. We've had like these, I wouldn't really call them Bible based so much as they're just like these anti video game violent games made by like Christian people who are like, we need something wholesome and stuff, but not like it doesn't feel like
I remember one game about 12 years ago, something like that, that was about the rapture and a particular version of the end time eschatology. And it was you were basically left on Earth, and demons were possessing people supposedly, like UN soldiers and communists, and you had to gun them down. I mean, the thing about it is, you're playing with fire. Even these days, when you're playing with fire with religion, I think you finally mostly find that in places like Japan, because while there's a significant portion of Christians in Japan, the story of Christianity in Japan, it's interesting to put at least.
Yeah, I think the closest we've had is Dante's Inferno, but that's not really the Bible. That's that's Bible fan fiction essentially. Yeah.
Well, there was what was a game that you play as before? I think it trilogy now games. It's actually, but at the end of times, it's like the angels and stuff are there, like more like aliens that are coming to invading Earth. Weird like that. So yeah.
I mean, I guess there's this new one that's coming out called I Am Jesus, which is like a Jesus simulator.
You want fish? Because that's how you get fish and bread.
Yeah.
And some more fish. From Jesus and give.
Other games. Noah's Ark. Oh, apparently they're also putting out a Noah's Ark simulator. Yeah. Okay. I'm not going to speak for the quality. Quality-wise, it looks decent. Quality in terms of like how fun this video game is going to be, but at least my interest is piqued. Although I feel like these games are going to be successful just out of the novelty and not really because they're serious games, I guess.
Yeah, they're probably tongue in cheek, which kind of makes sense. In other news about companies that think that they're God, they're clearly not. Sony fined 2.4 million over Australian game refunds by Luke Plunkett. This was yesterday, filed on the PlayStation. Sony Europe, I'm quoting from the article, of which the company Australian branch is a subsidiary, has been fined $3.5 million Australian dollars, is 2.4 million US dollars, after it was found to have presented false and misleading representations to local customers who were trying to refund PlayStation game purchases. As Gizmodo Australia report, so this is an article of an article, the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission, ACCC, took Sony to court last year over the case, and finding last week determined that Sony has now been found guilty of misleading 4 Customers were told by customer service that Sony was not required to refund games once they had been downloaded or if 14 days have been passed since purchase. That usually is the case in most places like the United States, but under Australian consumer law, consumers definitely are entitled to refunds beyond the time period. ACCC Chair Rod Sims said the decision consumer guaranteed rights do not expire after a digital project has been downloaded and certainly do not disappear after 14 days or any other arbitrary date claimed by the game store or developer. So, also, Sony must pay. I would say this: Australia. I think that's one reason why Australian games tend to be cheap, more expensive, because maybe it's the way of companies punishing the Australian market, but apparently hasn't worked. Nobody in Australia is going like, oh well, yes, we're not gonna actually audit your consumer practices because you're being mean to us.
I would have thought that they would have been not so much audited. It's like more like taxed. I thought the games were like taxed over there or something.
No, it's a taxation. I mean, it's like they get a between a 20 to 40% markup, and it's been going on for well over a decade, regardless of cases. And this is something the article itself points to another situation that happened with Valve, and in fact, Valve was forced to implement a refund policy because of Australian law. You know what? It's too expensive to have one set for together, so we'll have the 1 hour refund, which is okay, I guess. Better than nothing, but what it is. Moving on to Need for Speed Heat becomes the first EA game to get cross-play. That's what you think, Gosh. Need for Speed is getting cross-play starting June 9th, making it the first EA game to let people from different platforms finally play together. The feature is getting added to the game's final update, but due on tomorrow. Once it's live, players will be able to opt on to crossplay from game settings and race against whoever is playing there on PS4, Xbox One, or PC. Also, be possible to search for people to know all the platforms in the EA Friends tab, as long as they're opted into crossplay. Also, I noticed that there was a big sale on Steam for EA games, including Inquisition. So I guess EA is going back to putting almost all their library back on Steam. I think the reason why, well, it's weird that EA has been fighting this for a while, but I think the real reason that you have crossplay has nothing to do with consumers. Let's be honest. I don't know why we didn't think about this before. I didn't mention it before. It has to do with live services. In other words, if you want to guarantee that your live service is going to be successful, you need to have the largest possible base of players. And you don't want to have a situation where, which probably has happened already, where one game is very popular in one platform, perhaps widely popular, but not as popular in other platforms. So you're taking a hit there, which could be easily resolved by pooling all those players together, and then you could have a significant hit. If you take, $250,000 from one platform, $1.5 million from another, like that, and pool together. I think that's the biggest. And also that's one of the reasons I think why we're thinking of why would Microsoft do it? It's like because Microsoft has embraced games as service. So, I don't know why I haven't thought about that before. There you go.
Yeah. So, I just kind of think back of oh, sorry, I had it's a thought of there and I kind of lost it. It's like, oh, games as service off. I feel like there's a game they abandoned recently or just not doing too well. Oh, Sea of Thieves. That's what I was thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Although people still play it, so it must be getting better.
No, it's rather popular. I don't think they abandoned the game. Did they abandon the game?
I don't think so.
No, it's actually no. Here, Kotaku is telling me that Mass Effect Andromeda is better with mods. Yeah, thank you for that. I'm gonna go back to that. Oh, they're kind of true. Anywho, talking about indie games, and we also mentioned indie games. Itch.io, I should say, is selling a bundle of over 700 plus games for $5 to support racial justice and equality. To Zach Swinson was on Saturday. The collection launched 3 days ago to support Black Lives Matter movement and has already raised an amazing $736,000 that goes to raise $1 million over the next 9 days, which at this point seems very doable. All the funds are being split 50-50 between two organizations: the NAACP Legal Defense and Educational Fund and Community Bail Fund. The games in the collection range from full indie games to smaller projects and personal creations. Large collections came from over 660 different creators and teams. It might be one, if not the largest video game charity bundle ever put together. It will get bigger with 185 more games being added tomorrow. I never get anything from itch.io myself, so I don't know. I know you have used it. But...
Yeah, I will get some. Sometimes if I see like an interesting dating sim or something that I like that I want to play, I'll like usually pay what you want or something. At least give them a few bucks.
Hey Anna, how you doing? And thank you for the raid. Welcome Anna the Unknown, still official artist for the channel, and people who are raiding with her. We are talking about video game news, and we'll be talking about new games that are coming up. Well, not new games, but new things. So if you want to join the discussion, welcome to the channel. So we were talking about itch.io selling a bundle of over 700 games, $5. I might give it a try. I mean, 700 games. It feels like back in the old days when you would get like floppy disks full with games from questionable sources, right? Or on tape. But actually, you're paying for this, so not as questionable. So there it is. And talking about Anna, and she was playing Andromeda. I hope she's playing it with mods. According to Kotaku, it's the best way to play with mods.
Oh, that's interesting, and it's a bundle for equality for all. Oh wow!
Yeah.
Oh wow! This has a lot of like these aren't just like simple no name developers. These are some like actually well-known indie games like Night in the Woods, Celeste. Ooh, A Mortician's Tale. That's a game that I've been wanting. I might actually go like throw money at this right now. Oh, Minute. Oh wow.
So you want to throw money at it right now, as a Chabomon said? Here's the link.
I'm just looking through all this list. It's also of course there's those ones that are well-known indie games, but this also gives like an opportunity for some of these smaller games, and no offense, but like nobody, like producers, these brand new developers that never really gotten any kind of like exposure to kind of, hey, here's a game, put in this bundle and maybe you'll actually play it and like their content and maybe check out some of their other stuff. Oh wow.
So we scoot over to PC Gamer. Big news. Ad blocker. Yes, thank you very much. Bungie plans to remove all planets and raids because Destiny 2 is too bloated. I mentioned this news because we're gonna be talking about stuff like this. But essentially, this is from Phil Savage. I didn't make that up. That's actually the name of the person at the link. But it says Volta Glass and Cosmodrome are coming back in year 4. As very much Destiny is a MMO light game of service, very popular now for Bungie. They also announced that with 3 new major expansions, Bungie's announced plans for something called Destiny Content Vault, essentially a rotational retirement scheme for older content that will launch alongside Beyond Light in 2nd of September, which sees less active play destinations and activity cycle out of the live game to make room for new stuff and older stuff returning from Destiny 1. What was it that we're calling again? Destiny Content Vault. Hey folks, have you ever heard of a company that has a vault of content which they recycle every so often to huge sales? Destiny? Disney? Destiny? I couldn't be. I'm making this up. Nope.
Oh, God.
No, they're being very conscientious. They're really thinking about the consumer. They're keeping that stuff that would be too bloated in the game. Slow down your game anyway if you're not in that zone. They're thinking about you. Only you. Yeah, thank you, Bungie.
Honestly, I'm like, if Vault, I'm surprised there's a Gearbox hasn't jumped on something like that. Oh, all the Borderlands games are going into the vault.
Yeah, I actually got Borderlands 2 for free on Epic. Epic Games is slowly winning me over. I got what was it for $4.99? I got the remaster version of Saints Row the Third. If my old Black Beast wasn't so tired, I would be actually streaming it more than I want to. But he's a bit tired, so stream at night. Honestly. Talking about other things, you want to know about new games coming in. The PC Gaming Show returns this Saturday with more than 50 games and a few surprises. I talk about this because this is basically what's happened as a sort of an adjustment to the lack of E3 and stuff like that. This is probably going to be online. They're going to be talking. Developers include 2K Games, so we're talking about them. Amazon Games, Foster Studios, Coffee Stain Studios, Frontier Development. I don't these names. I don't actually. They're probably PC games only, but I don't recognize many of these games. So there you go. Want to check it out? Want to know what's coming up? Your digital pipeline. Then yeah, that's the thing. Going back to Kotaku. Again from Zach Zweisen. Mess up the name. Somebody turned Half-Life Alex into PT in case you never wanted to sleep again. Even though PT was just a playable teaser for a game that will never actually get to play, and I'm quoting from the article, Kotaku, it still haunts many people's memories, and now someone is trying to recreate the terrifying game using Half-Life Alex engine. Spotted by PC Gamer, the creation simply titled PT is a Source 2 VR map that's being created by Steam user Ambient Truth. It aims to totally recreate as much as the original PT demo as possible before Konami shuts them down. Currently contains, I added that myself. Currently contains famous looping hallways, the red hallway ending, and the strange paperback that talks to the player. You know, a paperback that talks to me, it's not so much scary as in, huh? Do I have to take my meds or do I have to get off my meds? What's going on here? And yes, I can make that joke because, for the obvious reasons. Ambient Truth is planning more to their map, including Easter eggs, more creepy noises, multiple endings, more PT accurate textures, and a flashlight. Life is always better with a flashlight. For my upcoming rig, I am probably going to make a computer, put together a computer that is in fact, VR capable. Probably won't buy any VR equipment because I'm not into it. Off the bat, because I'll afford it. But I will make a VR capable machine. That's the have slowdowns. Everybody's seeing this and slow down too much.
Let's see.
Nope, no drop frames.
I don't see anything yet.
Slow down in my other stream. So here we go. And now we're going to get closer to the meat of today's discussion with two articles. We already talked about one part of it. Samsung, about the PlayStation 5 coming out this year. But before that, I think You know what? I'm not going to jump too quickly. This is more for the tabletop RPG crowd. We were talking about this before the show started, and this is a bit of sad news, depending on how you stand. Uh, Daniel J.P. Daniels, creator of Roleplay, was until June 8th, yesterday, was one of the biggest role playing online streaming role playing channels world, really. Has announced that roleplay is over, except for one channel that has been the game is run by Jesse Cox. The reason for this, and I'm not going to go into a lot of details, is because there was a considerable situation a month and a half ago involving Adam Koebel, DMing a game of Far Verona based on the rule set of starts with our number. The situation involved lack of consent and content. In spite of profuse apologies, eventually, either the same day yesterday, Adam Koebel announced that not only was he no longer involved in any role-playing games online, was abandoning streaming altogether. I think it's a net loss. In spite of the mistake, I think it's a net loss. And the reason why I talk about this a little bit is that it shows the vagaries, right? The swings, how easily even a very successful or seriously successful Twitch careers, streaming careers, can be affected or even end, because this involved more than just these two individuals. To the audience, also talks about harassment and all kinds of. Again, I don't want to get so. If you want to catch up on roleplay, a lot of it is on YouTube. I do believe they still have that one episode where the thing happened. I recommend it myself, since it has implications of sexual stuff like that. So if you're not into that, then but it's out there for those who want to check it out. I just wanted to say that, and I hope that I actually hope the best for both of them. JP is still gonna have his channel, and because most of the stuff that he does actually is streamer. He's one of the biggest streamers platform. There's that. So getting that little piece of relatively sad, serious news aside, I'm going to leave the last piece of news that sort of kind of ties into what we're going to be talking today. This is from PC Gamer. It says Samsung leaked 8 terabyte SSD might be the answer to growing game install for $900. That's a lot of money. Samsung appears to be preparing a new line of QLC drives, but will they be fast enough for gamers? And the reason why I mention this is that, well, this is an incredibly expensive hard drive. It does point to one problem. That is the problem I see it today. Games have gotten too big. In every measurable. Literally, in the case of hardware and how much gigabytes, and probably we're going to reach the 1 terabyte game soon, they gotten to. But also how complicated, we were talking about the vault, how Destiny 2 is sort of putting things into the vault because there are aspects of their games that are not getting played, and to continue to monetize them, they're using this, they stole literally this idea from Disney to say, we have content, we're going to be constantly re-releasing it. Hopefully they're not going to have people who already own it buy it again. But like Disney movies, it's creating new people to buy them when they come out, like a new generation. It's like, every 5 to 10 years, you have a bunch of 5-year-olds and 10-year-olds who never seen one of these movies. If they don't have older siblings, and they didn't have a copy for them, then it's practically new for them. And their parents will buy the whatever, Bambi or whatever it is that they're selling. Bambi, that was so Hispanic. Puerto Rican. That's wow. That came out of the island, my friend. That really came out of the island. You know what I mean? You know what I mean. Anyway, um, and they're doing that. But let's first of all let's talk about sheer size. What most games, big AAA games are, even when compressed, are multiple gigabytes, right?
Yeah.
And can, especially in consoles, can take you hours to download. Then you have all the patches.
Let me see. Oh yeah, the don't even get me started on Blacksad with its like 13 gigabyte day one patch.
Right, patches that are bigger than the original. Then you have, and we talked about this before, content that's not really content, that is just filler. I'm playing right now through Inquisition, and while I actually love the game, and I know Anna is playing Mass Effect Andromeda, uh, a criticism that it could be level against both games, and these are what, 5, 6 years old games. Andromeda is about now going to be 4 years next year, I believe, and Inquisition is about reaching its 10-year mark or close to it, 6 or 7. Because it was released for the now last, soon to be the last generation. And it has a lot of stuff that's filler, right? Then is, you know, the fact that because we have games as service, you have to continually add more content. It reminds me of when I used to play World of Warcraft back in the day, and if I ever, for whatever reason, changed computers or it was taking too much space in my hard drive, the parts that were in my hard drive, and wanted to reinstall the game, it would take close to a day to download World of Warcraft with all the expansions. Also, servers were, internet was slower, my internet, but still, I mean, and then of course, there's the patches and stuff like that. So games have gotten too big. Ridiculous, and now the new generation of consoles, like, yeah, we're gonna have, finally we're gonna have blazing speeds with SSDs. It's like, I wonder why. Now I know people like, especially the PC crowd, loves to talk about, consoles are suck because their hard drives are slow, blah blah blah. But I actually never had a problem with that, right? And this is something also that's been happening for a while, in that you always get to a point where, well, to uh, DVDs and Blu-rays, storage media was too small. But before that, it wasn't so much that the games were huge, because the average time for a large game was what, 20 hours at most, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was that you had greater graphics fidelity, you have more options and more things in those 20 hours. But now every game is designed to be played forever. So now you have now. I'm looking to get a new rig, and I don't really know if I really want to get an SSD or not. I mean, for streaming, it's kind of cool because it accelerates the game, and people are not waiting, going like, okay, this guy's gonna play something, he's gonna do something, he's gonna, oh no, never mind, click away, right? Because nothing's happening. But still, I mean, in order to compensate for the size of games, now you have to have faster hard drive.
So I don't like with the sheer size of the game, I don't know if it's going to be so much like the data recall. Sure, and that would help. I have an SSD. I have two on this computer of mine. It makes like booting up the computer super fast. I've never had a computer take less than a minute to boot up from start. In terms of loading, yeah, um it works. It works great for loading. The Some of the issues I have with it, though, is that I think it loads too fast for some of these games. They're not optimized to load uh, as fast as they do, so that um the game loads in, but all the textures may not be all properly rendered.
Yeah.
Um, oh, I don't- you know, a lot of this too with it being too big is not going to help with like download speeds as well.
Yeah.
Uh, let's see, was it Final Fantasy Remake that I think everyone was like, "Holy crap, it's 100 gigabytes. Come on, where's the size?" Size 85 gigabytes, and that's probably not including any of the like DLC or patches.
Mhm.
I would imagine a game with like that would probably have plenty of patches. I I don't trust any game to come out feature complete and bug free at launch
Yeah.
nowadays. So, ah, it it's just like I think we're sort of losing on both fronts when it comes to size, not just in hard drive, but like in terms of bandwidth. Uh, I just read an article last night saying that like my internet provider is slowing down internet speeds for entire neighborhoods because they might be one person that's um hogging up like all the bandwidth and stuff. Even if they are paying extra for that, for extra for the speed, extra for their unlimited plans, because now we're restricted on how much data we can download per month. Even though they're paying extra for that, oh nope, we're gonna punish you and everyone else for using the service that we're selling you. So on top of, it taking forever, now you're also facing that front of, your internet provider being like, "I don't know, are you sure you really wanna download this game? It's gonna cost you extra, it's gonna put you over your cap, and we're just gonna throttle your speed, so it might take 2 days to download this game."
Which is one of the things we talked about before, that having these huge games and having these issues, really, it's one of the things that actually we warned about this in the past, could be sort of a monkey wrench on the whole live service sort of business cycle, right? Because if people have to wait that long to get their games downloaded, then the whole freshness thing, the whole thing about, oh, I'm the first to play it and all that, kind of wears off, right? And if it happens more and more and more, that adds to that sort of that grinding of the grinding of the wheel, if you will. And people are like, yeah, I'll try it later, whatever, right? And then they're not first users, which means they're less likely to get into the game and be fanatical about the game, and you know, get more stuff and microtransactions and all of that. And the fact that I mean, the way I see it from consoles is that stuff like SSDs is like the prices have gone so down enough that they're making a value judgment. Yeah, we can put it in our machine, problem. But the fact that it's being sold as a thing of like, hey, you might need this because games are enormous now and are gonna getting bigger and stuff like that. It also goes to the fact that a lot of people are dumping on Stadia. In the news, everybody's like, "Oh, we're pulling out of Stadia." It might be because for all the promises the Stadia, Google was making, they really can't do it, especially with games getting bigger, right? Because everything, all that has to be in the cloud, and it also has to be available on time, and the reaction times have to be. You can't have a lot of a delay. So if they can't do it, it's not worth it.
Yeah, so with that, it's like I guess that in terms of bandwidth and size, I guess that would help in terms of saving the down. Well, no, not even because then depending on how long you play it, you might end up downloading more video. I guess video when you're playing over the course of the lifespan of the game than it would have than the bandwidth it would have taken you to just download the game completely and install it on your computer. So never mind.
Yeah.
And of course, it doesn't work as advertised.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things. And also, again, games are getting bigger, but they're not necessarily giving you more bang for the buck, right? It may seem that way, but I don't think we're getting more or more, if that makes sense. The whole content thing, right? It's like, oh, you're getting huge worlds, but anything actually to do with them? And it's like, other than repeated grinding?
Oh, so I'm like looking at like an example of that, I guess would have been the Order 1886 clocks in at 13 gigab or 31 gigabytes. Call it 32. So I'm like, oh yeah, so that game was, I guess, okay looking visually, but yeah, it didn't give you a whole lot. That was like the biggest criticism with that game was that, yeah, it looks great and pretty, but it's really short and shallow, and nothing happens. Like it feels like this would have been like a prelude chapter to like a bigger game.
It
And
was a tech
it's
demo. That's what it was.
yeah, it's exactly what it is. I think a lot of these games are, I wouldn't say all of them are tech demos, but it's starting to feel a lot like that.
And there's also, I mean, again, a lot of content that is just sort of there, it's filler to make it look big. We talked about, for example, the indie companies and AA companies, the opposite direction. Like this, a lot of the games in the bundle we talked about, probably tiny games in comparison. And you know, people are still playing them, enjoying them, right? So it's like, why should I care? You know, why is that a thing that I want to do? And I don't see a reason for it. I mean, some games, yeah, and we always have the expansion, but I think that's another thing why we're seeing a lot of remasters right now, because it's much easier to rebundle stuff that it's more more stuff like that. It's ridiculous, and also you have to factor in VR. If this new generation is going to push VR more, then that is going to go into graphics and other systems, which means the games will also get more bloated in that area because it'll take more of everything to make that game impressive in VR.
Ooh, I didn't even consider VR.
Think about that.
Although, again, at this stage, I think VR, most of it, most of the good VR games I ever experiences are at least like tech demos.
Again, yeah, but they're you know, and they're very much demanding still of the system, right? Um, so there's that, and for little or no return. I mean, it's, to me at least, it's I don't know. I can't. I mean, it's a trend. You have the trend of live services. Oh, by the way, many, especially in consoles, it's also very slow because they don't compress the data. They don't do any data compression or very little data compression. So it's like, oh yeah, this file is 5 terabytes. Yeah, go ahead. You're like, you can crunch that, right? There's like zip files and stuff. Yeah, but we didn't put in. I don't know why it is. I think it's basically that they didn't bother put in their OS a decompression program. Like they wouldn't. I don't know. They couldn't pay 7-zip or something. I'm like, this is a couple of $1,000 for it. Yeah, you can actually buy the company and just, Jesus Christ. And that's another thing. Also, if we see more stuff from Nintendo, and they are the ones who are trying to get more and more mainline games in their portable devices, how are they going to handle that, especially over Wi-Fi? Because we're not only talking about wire connection, we're also talking about Wi-Fi as well, right? How's that going to happen? I mean, I know they're using solid state cartridges, have pretty big, they're very fast to be downloaded. But when they introduced it, they were already having problems, and many games on the Switch, basically you sort of buy the first part and you have to download the rest. So, and Nintendo is also, of all the three companies, Japanese companies are lagging behind in online services, and of those, Nintendo is the one that lags the most. So if games get bigger and bigger and bigger, and they're keeping in the future saying we're going to have basically all our consoles are going to be Switch-like consoles, right? Mostly portable with stationary support, then are they going to swing that with bigger games? Are they going to be releasing a new console every year? Which I think is the reason why, might be one of the reasons why Xbox is doing the whole, hey, this is an evolutionary machine thing where we're gonna, and they've been trying to do this for years now. I think Microsoft has been floating back and forth. Is that we're gonna basically release a new machine every year. It's like changing your phone, right? So I said, oh well, your games are getting too big for the box that we told you last year. Well, but this year you get a new box and we'll be fine because it's a bigger hard drive and more RAM and more everything. So no problem.
Like, yeah, more. But it's also at the same time, it tends not to be like with cell phones. Every time you get like a new one, they tend to be like the up to date high end hardware for the cutting edge hardware of that year. Consoles not so much. They're not the cutting edge technology for that specific year that it's launching. It tends to be pretty behind, like the peak, I guess.
I mean, yeah, I think the lowest common denominator.
Yeah, and of course, consoles I don't think have ever been. Oh, maybe the Xbox, the original Xbox, for like high end, close to PC, versus more of the old. I mean, even the really old ones, I think, were kind of behind their time in terms of technology when they were released.
Well, in the 1990s, particularly, consoles. It depends because in the 1990s, the consoles were streamlined mostly for arcade gaming. And yeah, you could build a PC. There's always in there. You could build a PC even back then that was far more powerful. Graphics card and sound cards and stuff like that. Depending where you could do it, but they were more streamlined. With the Xbox, in fact, the Xbox was basically meant originally to be a PC on a box, right? System. They couldn't do it, and they haven't done it since. Gone it closer and closer. Bringing parity with PC is something that's growing, but still, if you want to sell something at under $500, right now I'm looking at a new build around between $900 to $1,200, $1,500 up, right? To make it so that it can, I can stream and has all the bells and whistles that I want. Microsoft cannot cram $1,000 machine or $1,500 machine in a $500 package. They can cram a $700 machine, maybe even a $900 machine, and sell at a loss. In a $500 or so package, they can't cram $1,500 worth of tech today for a third of the price. And Sony's not going to do that either. So there's always going to be limitations. Also, closed systems, they can't expand, and
unless you're the PlayStation. Well, I guess Xbox also did that with the Pro and the Series X.
But in a way, what they're doing, they're not really doing that, because when did they come out? They came out like 2 or 3 years after the original machine, like halfway through, right? So essentially, the PlayStation Pro and the Xbox X are kind of the tech that was mid to top of the line when the last when they're updated, they're basically updating their version 2. They did that the Xbox and Xbox One and PlayStation 4. And even then it's only just some tweaks, right? Basically they open up the box, off a couple of more things. It was like close the box, it was like this is a new box. Kind of same like the old box, but it's also, I mean, again, games are getting bigger, calls for raising the minimal cost of video games, not the maximum. That's a complete lie. The minimum, It started going up. It's like, well, we can no longer charge $60 for entry. Guess we got to charge 70, 80, or 90, or 100, right? Which they're kind of already doing anyway, especially with DLCs. And we haven't even talked about DLC and other expansions. I mean, yes, games are more gonna get more complex, but at at some point, I think what we really need is more even more diversification, more diversity.
I guess in terms of style or something, or at least figure invest in compression technology, or
Yeah,
I guess a way where you can get the same results with like less essentially, if such a thing is possible.
and there's also the hardware. Not so much the hardware implications, but also, like you said, the infrastructure. Right? If infrastructure becomes a problem, too much of a problem, then people are gonna go, well, I'm not gonna pay 20, 30, how much money per month for just to play my games. It's just, it comes to a point where I might just watch Netflix. Right? And also, I mean, and now that and this is another thing, real world being what it is, we're right now in a global recession. United States is in a recession. Even if tomorrow people can declare the pandemic over, the economic impact of that, of millions of people being without jobs, all that, they're not. This Christmas is going to be lean. Brace yourselves. So when last time when people were talking about the demise of consoles because the United States and the world more or less were coming out of a global recession. This Christmas is going to be in the middle of recession. Recessions don't last 2 months and then they end. So this is going to be a lean year no matter what. 2020 is going to be a lean year no matter what. And we were all talking about other things. Well, I think what we're looking at is, again, another factor that's saying that at least the current business model that demands a amount of things, bigger games, it's reaching its limits. And that's a piece of news I didn't talk about. There was another piece of news that came out of the BBC, again saying that the UK government is reconsidering classifying
loot boxes
and other microtransactions as gambling and restricting them, age restricting them. That would be another thing that would hurt this new economic model, and wouldn't do much good to much anybody. So yeah, I mean, the answer to the question if games are getting too big is yeah. Yes. But what does that actually mean for the video game industry? Like most things, we have to wait till the actual results. Anything that you care to add, Chabamon?
Not really. It's just the nature of technology. Things keep getting bigger and bigger. Like back when that famous short-sighted quote by Bill Gates about like, all we need is like 64 kilobytes of like hard drive space. I don't see anyone needing more than can't even get like a JPEG that small anymore. I don't know. It just feels like I guess that's something that the gaming industry needs to invest, I guess, in is compression technology. Because I might be wrong, but I believe that the physical version of Final Fantasy VII Remake comes in 2 discs. And I guess one is just an installation disc. So we've gotten there to where games now need 2 Blu-rays to install and start up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're talking about a significant question. So, Chapamon, where can we find you in the interwebs?
You can find me at Chapamon pretty much everywhere. I am Chapamon_Aragon on Twitch and Twitter, but I primarily hang out on YouTube over there. You can just search Chopamon, and I should be the only one that shows up.
And you can find me here now because of situations beyond my control. At least for the time being, I'm streaming evenings from 8 to 10. I'm doing a Dragon Age Snarkquisition run. Basically, I just try to make as much fun of everything as I can find in the game. Because why not? Let's have fun with that. Also, if you didn't know, I am a published author with a short story anthology over at Amazon. If you have an Amazon Kindle, you can get it for 99 cents. Here is the link, and also the link can be found in the description below on the page. I'd like to thank Anna and everyone else who came over from Anna's channel. You want to check her out. She's also a streamer and a wonderful artist. She does her art. You can commission art from her. And she's also playing Mass Effect Andromeda, a no mic run. She has they apologize, Anna. They have a lovely voice. And talk about that later. All right. And they have a lovely voice and lovely presence, and they have a wonderful giggle, by the way. If you wanna smile and you wanna laugh, just listen to her giggling. That alone is worth the price of admission. So thank you, Anna. Thank you, everybody, for coming, and we'll see when we see you. Bye bye, everybody.
Bye.